Also coming up, former board chairman of the Ghana Airport Company Limited, Paul Adomotri, denies involvement in a revenue assurance contract currently under investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And much later on the program, NDC conduct balloting for its upcoming parliamentary primary in the Akwatia constituency ahead of the September 2 by-election. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the Accra High Court has dismissed a judicial review application filed by the suspended Chief Justice CJ Torkornoo, ruling that the case constituted an abuse of court processes and was brought before a court without proper jurisdiction. Justice Torkornoo, who is currently the subject of impeachment proceedings under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, had filed as a certiorari application seeking to quash the ongoing process. She argued that impeachment proceedings violated her fundamental human rights. The presiding judge, Justice Kwame Amwako, in his ruling held that the court lacked the jurisdiction to intervene in the matter and emphasized that the application mounted to an inappropriate use of the judicial process. Sisters Donolo is my colleague who is in court following this. He joins us live on the line. Sisters, just tell us how it all unfolded.
Yes, Beatrice, you will recall that the Chief Justice in a press conference a month or so ago lamented to the entire nation how she had been subjected to some inhumane treatment when she went to appear before the committee to respond to the petitions that had been brought against her. You know, she recounted how she had been searched and she said the search was not proper. She also recounted how she believed that they had withheld the authenticated copies of the petitions which stand in her name or against her. They had withheld that from her, and she thought that she needed copies of those petitions so that she would be able to respond to them, knowing that these were the actual petitions that were against her. So all of that culminated in that action that she brought before the Human Rights Court, asking the court, number one, as you said, to quash all the proceedings that had already been held. Because she said that at the time those proceedings were held, she did not have the authenticated copies of the petitions and the answers to those petitions. And also, she thought that she was not given, because she didn't have that, she was not given the opportunity to be heard fairly and justly, as you would say. And so she felt that for it to be done right by her, the court needed to quash those proceedings, consider them as void, so that she would then be served with the copies, and then she can properly and adequately answer same. She also wanted the court to put a stop to the hearings of the committee. That would mean that the court would have frozen the processes that are ongoing presently. The committee hearings would be stopped, and then all the other actions that the committee is taking in relation to this would have been stopped. But the court said that it did not have the jurisdiction to do that. It doesn't have the power to hear those, to grant such an order, because they fall directly under Article 146. And you would know that under Article 146, it is a committee that must hear the matters, and from there you can then proceed. If you are so dissatisfied with it, or with the decisions of the committee. So in the estimation of the court said the Chief Justice was abusing the processes of the court by bringing these ones that really do not fall within the mandate of the court.
So, sisters, essentially what the court has said, or with this current decision, it means that every process, including that of the committee, continues.
Yes. The committee continues to hold its hearings and to do all the other work that are relative to the impeachment processes.
Again, you said that the court argued that it didn't have the jurisdiction, as it were, to look at the case brought before before it by the Chief Justice or the suspended Chief Justice, and that per Article 146 it has to be the committee. Does it also mean, or could it be that the Chief Justice could climb higher from the High Court to maybe the Supreme Court, since it has the ultimate powers of interpreting the Constitution?
There are two things here, Beatrice. The first thing has to do with the fact that the Chief Justice is complaining that she was not served the authenticated copies of the petitions. So, if you recall the press conference that she addressed, she said she had requested for the original copies or authenticated copies of the petitions that had been sent the presidency, and those were denied her. Again, when she went to the committee to be heard or questioned on the petitions, the committee took her through a bodily search, and which search she considered to be evasive at the press conference. Those were the problems that she raised at the press conference. So if you link those concerns that she raised to the suit that she has brought before the Human Rights Court, she's saying that if you look at all of these things, they stand against her fundamental human right, her natural right to be heard. There's a case against her. She has a right to be heard. And the only way she can adequately be heard is if she has access to the petitions that stand against her. But the copies that she has are not copies that are coming from the committee itself, the Justice for Amman Committee itself. They are copies of the petition that probably were flowing around, and she got copies of that. But she wanted authenticated copies of the petition to show that these are the ones that were presented to the president asking for her removal, and these are the ones that she's responding to. But that had not been done. That is the reason why she went to court.
Thank you so much, sisters.
The court, asking the court to stop the processes of the Justice for Amman Committee, is also what the court is saying, that it is beyond its authority, because all of those proceedings fall directly under Article 146. And so the court thinks that it does not have the authority to get into those proceedings, and for that matter, to try to stop the proceedings and to quash proceedings that have already happened.
Thank you very much, Sisters Don Willow, for that comprehensive report. He's our man and my colleague currently following the suspended Chief Justice case at the High Court. Let's speak to Austin Kwabena, Braco Powers. He's a private legal practitioner. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
I'm sure you heard the narrative, as it were, from our court correspondent, but how does the court's description of the application as an quote-unquote abuse of court processes affect the legitimacy of the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo's case?
I think this is one of many actions the Chief Justice has brought, particularly challenging the committee itself, the Amman Committee, as set up by the President, pursuant to Article 146, and also about the fact that she had not been given proper hearing, or she has not been given the requisite facilities to be heard before the committee. I think this one is just one of I wouldn't say it's a major setback, because usually you have to try a lot of other means to make sure that you be properly heard. But what we need to be mindful of, and as your colleague outlined, the court was clear that the process itself, the action itself was abuse of the court processes. And what you mean is that, already the suspended Chief Justice has an action as a case before the Supreme Court. And some of the relief that she was seeking before the High Court are before the Supreme Court. So on that basis, the High Court could not have gone ahead to make determination on matters that are before the Supreme or the Superior Court, the Major Court, or as we normally say, the Apex Court. So the High Court could not have assume jurisdiction over those matters. Then the High Court, the judge also said that the court lacks jurisdiction to inquire into in-camera proceedings. I think on certain grounds, I agree with the judge. But I think beyond the ruling that the Chief Justice was seeking before the court, in fact, she had 8 reliefs, and the 9 being any other relief that the court may deem appropriate. And I think beyond dismissing the action for being abused, for amounting to abuse of the court processes, and also for want of or lack of jurisdiction, I think the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, was not asking the court to inquire into the in-camera proceedings, by which reason the court may not have jurisdiction to hear. So when we talk about in-camera, we are talking about a closed-door discussion of the committee. Because when you look at Article 146, it mandates that proceedings requiring the removal of a Chief Justice or a judge, a Superior Court judge, must be done in camera. That is, must be done behind closed doors so that nobody will hear or see what is going on. And the aim is to protect the integrity of the judiciary, and again, to protect the reputation of the person being subjected to the process. Her action was not for the court to inquire. And I think she raised germane issues. She said that she had not been given the adequate facilities to be heard. Is it true? It is the responsibility, and the thing is that one of the tenets, or let me say the basic things anyone before a court must be afforded as an opportunity to be heard. And the lack of it may end up affecting any decision that is made without an opportunity, with the other party having not been heard. So I think the judge, for me, I think looking at it, the judge could have made any other orders for the Chief Justice to be given adequate facilities. And as your colleague said, she asked for authenticated copies of the petition and answers. Germane. And she also asked that she has the right to be represented. These are fundamental things that any party before a court is entitled to. So, any party before a court is entitled to.
As we speak, are there any legal alternatives available or remedies available to the Chief Justice?
No, she can like your colleague said, she has a lot of options, and she can decide. I mean, the lawyers can weigh can look at the decision and determine if they want to climb the higher ups. I mean, there are other courts that they may want to go for to seek redress. But I think beyond that, like I said, the judge could have determined whether she had been given or afforded adequate facilities to make proper representation before the committee. If not, the judge had the right, per Articles 23 and 296, to make orders for the committee to give her proper facilities for her to make a case before them. But she's raising issues of natural justice. And these are matters that normally strike at the root of any decision taken when a person is not here. So I think beyond any other action taken by the court, I think the judge should have at least gone into the propriety of whether she has been given the adequate facilities or not.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Austin Kwabena Brako Powers. He's a private legal practitioner. Now, former board chairman of the Ghana Airport Company Limited, Paul Adomotri, has strongly denied any involvement in a contract currently under investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, for suspected corruption-related offences. The OSP has declared Paul Adomotri as a suspect in ongoing probe into a revenue assurance audit contract between the Ghana Airport Company Limited and a private firm, Evertex Logistics Limited. However, the journalist insists that he did not sign the said contract and has accused the OSP of embarking on what he describes as a politically motivated witch hunt. He's expected to appear before the OSP at 3 p.m. Now, speaking ahead of the meeting, Paul Adomotri expressed confidence in clearing his name and urged the public to allow due process to take its course.
He said that this is what we know and this is how it works. The board told them that, yes, you have told us what it is, but there's no real evidence. You haven't given us any evidence that, in fact, we are losing money. And then they said that to do that, we have to work with your management to come and tell you, because we need access to your systems. When we get access to your systems, then we'll be able to tell you in the things that are the revenue that's happened already. So today is July. They will take last year's revenue and show you that this revenue that you got 1 million cedis, you could have gotten 3 million cedis. This revenue that you have 2 million cedis could have gotten 6 million cedis. So the management gave them that, and then they did that. And then the management brought them to the board the second time and said that people have finished their work, so let the board hear them. So the board heard them. And then they seem to know what they are talking about. They seem to show that, yes, revenue was lost and revenue can be gained. So the board told management that, okay, go ahead, which is also normal. The board tells the management, MD and your people, go ahead and work with them and report back to us. So they did, and they went to work with them. And then we continue our meetings. I had forgotten about it. I don't know anything about it. It was Manasseh Azuri who told me that the contract had been signed by the managing director on 4th of December, 4 days or 3 days to election. And I said, well, okay, I don't know. I didn't know. This conversation is about 2 weeks ago. I didn't know whether the contract has been signed. I didn't find out whether the contract has been signed because it's not necessary. The board has finished its work. Whatever management does, if the management need the board again, they'll come back to the board.
And you had the journalist and former board chairman of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Paul Adom Otre. Now, Parliament has approved a request by the government to dedicate all oil revenues and mineral royalties to the Big Push program. The House on Wednesday also approved a multi-year commitment for selected road projects under the phase 1 of the program. Christian Yale reports.
2025 to 2028, government has resolved and dedicated all oil revenues and mineral royalties to the program. As such, an amount of 13.8 billion Ghana cedis allocation has been captured in the 2025 budget and has been approved by Parliament.
This so much talked about push is neither balanced nor big nor strategic. I say this because I believe strongly that it's just a political program rather than economic efficient program. One, Mr. Speaker, the list of programs of roads is heavily skewed towards certain regions in the country. So you think that just because there are more people in Accra and Kumasi, we should spend all our money in Accra and Kumasi? Research means that we are taking road infrastructure to every part of the country. And if you don't like it, you can do whatever you like. When you come back, you can decide not to do road there. We shall take road everywhere we like. Let me repeat once again. Big Push is not a constituency-specific or a political gimmick.
Other members of Parliament took turns to debate on the matter.
Concerns of the minority has to do with the uneven distribution of these roads. I have seen the list, quite a number of them. Sometimes we, the politicians, we try to pretend, but the reality is always a reality. Some of these roads were started under Akufo-Addo. They've not been completed. You are continuing. That is governance, and I agree. I will not stand here and critique you for that. But it should not be created, the impression should not be created as though it is a certain big push, big push, big push. What are you pushing?
We plan to do more. He was asking where we're pushing. We're pushing on all the roads of this country. That's where we're going to push. When we finally finish fixing the financial mess that we have inherited, and we sort out the debts that we have inherited, and we begin to make significant savings, I can assure you that your complaint about discrimination will be addressed.
At the end of debate, Parliament unanimously approved a request for the multi-year commitment for selected road project under the 13.8 billion cedis Big Push Phase 1 program. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
Honourable members, obviously.
And that was Christian Yale's report. Meanwhile, a road construction project at the Ashiman interchange has been temporarily suspended after a worker tragically lost his life on site. The victim was reportedly asleep under a tractor when it was unknowingly moved by a colleague, crashing him to death. Beatrice Soa has the rest of the story.
Where that a colleague was sleeping beneath a vehicle moved it, fatally crushing the man. The project, which focuses on rehabilitating the severely deteriorated roads in the area, has since been suspended following the incident. Municipal Chief Executive for Ashiman, Freeman Chepo, says work will resume once road pacification rights are carried out.
Friday, when they came back from break, one of the workers was sleeping under the machine, and the operator didn't know about the presence of the person under the machine and moved the machine. So we lost one life. There are supposed to be performance of traditional rites to pacify the place for work to go on. My understanding from the traditional council is that that will be done on Friday, because Ashiman, our sacrifices are supposed to be done on Fridays. Hopefully from Saturday, their work should continue.
He further revealed plans to decongest the local markets.
What we are doing is that Ashiman is blessed to have 3 markets. We have the Ni Ajo market, which is a new market that has been built. We have over 1,200 shops within that market, which was just completed. We are yet to commission it. We are encouraging traders to move and take space within that market. By the end of this August, we should be able to put these 2 extra markets functional. And then we have also taken a decision as an assembly that when we evacuate them, we're going to put a barricade on the pavement. We expect that people will be able to be law-abiding. And if they are not law-abiding, we have bylaws. We will use the bylaws to ensure that there is enforcement.
Beatrice Soa filed that report. The governing National Democratic Congress will today conduct balloting for its upcoming parliamentary primary in the Akwatia constituency as the party prepares to elect a candidate for the September 2 by-election. 3 aspirant Henry Boache, Bernard Bediako Beido and Erasmus Kone Ali are seeking to lead the party into the crucial contest, with the primary set to take place on the 4th of August 2025. Nomination forms were picked up on July 28 and filed by the 30th of July. That was yesterday. The Akwatia seat became vacant following the passing of the MPP's Ernest Kumi, who won the seat in the 2024 general election with 19,269 votes, representing 52.83% of the total valid vote cast. The NDC's candidate at the time, Henry Yadom Boache, garnered 17,206 votes, or 47.17%. The NDC had challenged that result in court. Let's speak to Yvonne Nekwe. She's my colleague in the Eastern region who is monitoring the event for us. Yvonne, if you can hear me, how is the balloting going so far?
Well, because the vetting and balloting process has ended. It was actually a peaceful exercise. We saw party members from the national, regional, and constituency as well, urging both the candidates and the aspirants to ensure that it becomes a peaceful exercise. Now, for the balloting process, the first on the list is lawyer Bernard Beidu. The second person is Erasmus Kone Ali. And then third on the ballot is Henry Yadom Boache. So that is how the balloting ended. So this morning's exercise has ended. For the aspirants, they're hoping that the delegates do them the honors come Monday to ensure that they will lead the NDC towards that critical contest between whoever is chosen and then the MPP's Solomon Asumwedi, who was outdoored yesterday in the Akwatia constituency.
Indeed, the primary is just 4 days away. How is the general mood like in the town ahead of the 2nd of September?
Well, the mood has become a hot area for political activities already. It has always been a hot seat for any political activity. This is one of the critical contests for any of the parties, even between the internal NDC who is going to the contest. It means that they still have to do a lot of lobbying to the delegates who they are seeking their mandate on Monday. And beyond that, the entire residents that they're hoping will part of the elections and vote for them as well. So it's been a busy day for the aspirants, the candidates, residents, and everybody who is a stakeholder in the election.
Thank you very much, Yvonne Ekwe. She's our correspondent in the Eastern region, and we'll bring you some more on this. But ahead of that, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, in the Ashanti region has underscored the importance of sustained dialogue between the government and teacher unions to tackle pressing challenges in the education sector. At its 54th Regional Delegate Conference, the association acknowledged the need to uphold teaching standards but raised concerns over the current teacher licensing renewal system, which relies heavily on continuous professional development point. The union argued that the mechanism requires urgent review to better serve educators. Let's listen to the regional chairman, Techi Prosper, who spoke earlier at the program.
We are happy that within this period, the issue of renewing our license, which was to be based on point building, we are not against it, but we think that the system that had been put in place, established, wouldn't help our teachers. And it was only inuring to the benefits of some individuals within the service. How can you run a workshop, download staff online, pick fees from our teachers in the name of CPD points building? Was it about extorting our teachers or catering for the professional needs of our members? And I know you know the answer. Today, your licenses have been renewed. Going forward, I know mechanisms will be put in place to recognize the experiences gained in the classroom and the competences you exhibit, rather than placing premium on attending workshops.
And you heard that the Ashanti Regional Chairman of NAT, Techi Prosper, Ibrahim Abubakar, has been monitoring the conference. He joins us live on the phone. Ibrahim, what more have you found out from the conference currently happening beyond what we just heard the Regional Chairman tell us?
Well, some of the key topics the NAT has been discussing together with the stakeholders have to do with how to modernize the curriculum, even though they are saying the new ones are improvement on the earlier ones, but then the need to modernize it to be able to suit the global context. They're also looking at digital literacy and also sustainable education funding, because we'll start an educational program along the line. It will be halted for so long a time. So they are looking at this, and also more importantly, the strategies to improve teacher retention through better worker condition or working condition and professional development opportunities. Because we do know that there has been mass exodus of teachers leaving the shores of Ghana to other countries to seek for greener pastures. And for that matter, you go to some schools that need 6 teachers to man the school, but you go and find only 2 or 1 teacher manning the entire school, all because most of the professional teachers are leaving the shores of the country. And also, there were discussions about their welfare. In fact, the Ashanti Regional Minister who was there has also reiterated government commitment to improve teachers' welfare and also make sure they provide infrastructure for an improved learning outcome. Let's listen to what Dr. Frank Amwakweni has also been telling the teachers.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim Abubakar. Because of time, we are unable to bring you that sound, but of course, we'll bring it to you in our subsequent bulletins. Thank you very much. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent. And that's it for the Midday News here on Shrew FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Edu. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Coming up next is Business Daily with Enyonam Haliga. Don't go away.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Obodu. Coming up this afternoon, Bank of Ghana cracks down on non-compliance in remittance space as it directs banks and fintechs to submit weekly foreign exchange records or face sanctions. And government cancels $1.2 billion bauxite lease with Rockshore, Iron Global Partner for strategic block. Plus, minority slams government over alleged diversion of flagship funds for Treasury bill shortfalls. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay. Thank you so much for your time. Before we go into our top story for today, news just coming in, and my colleague Beatrice has the details. Beatrice.
And very briefly, NEDCO VRO, we understand, has withdrawn services in the Greater Tamale Metropolis effective today, the 31st of July, following attack on staff on Thursday, that's yesterday, the 30th of July. And we are understanding that official vehicles of VRO NEDCO were stopped and seized by residents. Some drivers allegedly assaulted. Now, information that of the vehicles was as a result of failure by the managing director of NEDCO VRA to reinstate a transferred staff despite the intervention by the King of Dabam, Yana Abubakar II. So, Michael, we'll have to bring our listeners more on this, but what we're learning is that VRA NEDCO has withdrawn services in the Greater Tamale Metropolis effective today due to attack on staff.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. We'll bring you details of that story later in our subsequent bulletins. But financial economist raises concerns over Bank of Ghana's high policy rate, citing impact on production. Meanwhile, BOG Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama signals more rate cuts ahead as monetary policy of the Bank of Ghana lowers policy rate by 25% on strong cedi and slowing inflation. Now to our top story. A senior fellow at the Africa Policy Lens, APL, Dr. Eric Boakye-Yadom, has expressed apprehension regarding the Bank of Ghana's current high policy rate. Speaking on the matter, Dr. Boakye-Yadom indicated that a prevailing rate of 25% is not conducive to stimulate production within the Ghanaian economy. He highlighted that such a high rate could potentially hinder business expansion and investment, ultimately impacting overall economic growth and job creation.
because businesses are getting credit at a very high cost, there's another way that the inflation may come in. That is from the supply side. That now we are sourcing materials at a very high cost. We will end up producing at a very high cost, and we end up pushing the market. Another problem we are likely to face is that you will go to the market, the goods are there, but you will not have the funding you will not have the money to buy those goods. The government should understand, the governor should understand that, you see, by bringing the credit down, we will not only cause demand to push up, but it will also stimulate production of goods and services, where goods and services will be relatively cheaper. So if we have the supply of goods and services meeting an adequate demand, then we should not be afraid that when we bring the rate down, it will stimulate consumption and price of goods will start shooting up. So we need to have a balance that the rate should come down to stimulate supply of goods and services.
You heard there Dr. Boache Yadom. He is Senior Policy Fellow at the Africa Policy Lens. Now, meanwhile, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, has hinted at the possibility of further reductions in the policy rate in the months ahead following the central bank's decision to lower the rate by 300 basis points to 25%. He says the move reflects growing confidence in Ghana's economic recovery, supported by easing inflation, a stronger cedi, and improved fiscal performance. The governor noted that if current trends persist, the MPC may opt to 4 additional cuts in upcoming meetings to stimulate credit growth and consolidate the recovery.
The impact of these risks on inflation are expected to be offset by appropriately tight monetary policy stance and continued fiscal consolidation. Given these considerations, the MPC, by a majority decision, voted to lower the monetary policy rate by 300 basis points to 25.0%. And looking ahead, the committee will continue to assess incoming data and likely reduce the policy rate further should the disinflation trend continue. The committee remains committed to the price stability mandate while creating conditions for inclusive and sustainable growth.
That was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, speaking there. Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange concluded trading on Wednesday, July 31, with a positive performance, primarily fueled by strong gains in MTN Ghana and a significant surge in trading activity. This report has the details.
The benchmark GSE Composite Index climbed to 6,776.9 points, reflecting an impressive year-to-date return of 38.61%. While the financial stocks index experienced a marginal dip of 1.11 points to settle at 3,422.89 points, it still maintained a robust year-to-date return of 43.77%. Market capitalization saw a substantial increase of 1.31 billion cedis, closing the day at 143.46 billion cedis. Trading activity on the exchange surged dramatically, with a total of 3,877,672 shares exchanging hands. This represents an 865.79% increase compared to the previous trading session, highlighting renewed investor confidence. The total market turnover for the day announced to 12.8 billion Ghana cedis. MTN Ghana emerged as a sole gainer, appreciating to 3 cedis 35 pesos per share. Conversely, SIC Insurance experienced a decline, closing at 1 cedi 5 pesos per share. Market analysts attribute the day's positive performance to sustained investor interest in both the telecom and insurance sector, with expectation to continue bullish momentum in the coming weeks.
And that was the 3 Business News Desk report. Now, economist and head of the University of Ghana Learning Center in Cape Coast, Dr. Hayford Mensah-Irakwa, has sounded a cautionary note on the Ministry of Finance's decision to price contracts in the local currency. While he lauded the initiative, Dr. Irakwa expressed concerns about the potential risk associated with the cedi's historic performance. He warns that if the cedi depreciates in the future, this move could lead to substandard projects.
Because businesses are getting credit at a very high cost, there's another way that the inflation may come in. That is from the supply side. That now we are sourcing materials at a very high cost. We will end up producing at a very high cost, and we end up pushing the market. Another problem we are likely to face is that you will go to the market, the goods are there, you will not have the money to buy those goods. The government should understand, the governor should understand that. You see, by bringing the credit down, it will not only cause demand to push up, but it will also stimulate production of goods and services, where goods and services will be relatively cheaper. So if we have the supply of goods and services meeting an adequate demand, then we should not be afraid that when we bring the rate down, it will stimulate consumption and price of goods will start shooting up. So we need to have a balance that the rate.
And on that note, that'll be all for today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Lobodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.